it was still light, my friend, the cashier, whose name was Timms, took me for a stroll in the streets and in the courtyards of the principal colleges. Their beauty and interest were extreme. It was impossible to see them without being attracted towards them, and I thought to myself that he must be indeed an ill-grained and ungrateful person who can have been a member of one of these colleges without retaining an affectionate feeling towards it for the rest of his life. All my misgivings gave way at once when I saw the beauty and venerable appearance of this delightful city. For half an hour I forgot both myself and Arowhena. After supper Mr. Thims told me a good deal about the system of education which is here practised. I already knew a part of what I heard, but much was new to me, and I obtained a better idea of the Erewhonian position than I had done hitherto. Nevertheless, there were parts of the scheme of which I could not comprehend the fitness, although I fully admit that this inability was probably the result of my having been trained so differently, and to my being then much out of sorts. The main feature in their system is the prominence which they give to a study which I can only translate by the word hypothetics. They argue thus, that to teach a boy merely the nature of the things which exist in the world around him, and about which he will have to be conversant during his whole life, would be giving him but a narrow and shallow conception of the universe, which is urged might contain all manner of things which are not now to be found therein. To open his eyes to these possibilities, and so to prepare him for all sorts of emergencies, is the object of this system of hypothetics. To imagine a set of utterly strange and impossible contingencies, and require the youths to give intelligent answers to the questions that arise therefrom, is reckoned the fittest conceivable way of preparing them for the actual conduct of their affairs in after life. Thus they are taught what is called the hypothetical language for many of their best years, a language which was originally composed at a time when the country was in a very different state of civilization to what it is at present, a state which has long since disappeared and been superseded. Many valuable maxims and noble thoughts which were at one time concealed in it have become current in their modern literature, and have been translated over and over again into the language now spoken. Surely, then, it would seem enough that the study of the original language should be confined to the few whose instincts led them naturally to pursue it. But the Erewhonians think differently. The store they set by this hypothetical language can hardly be believed. They will even give any one a maintenance for life if he attains a considerable proficiency in the study of it. Nay, they will spend years in learning to translate some of their own good poetry into the hypothetical language, to do so with fluency being reckoned a distinguishing mark of a scholar and a gentleman. Heaven forbid that I should be flippant, but it appeared to me to be a wanton waste of good human energy that men should spend years and years in the perfection of so barren an exercise, when their own civilization presented problems by the hundred which cried aloud for solution, and would have paid the solver handsomely. But people know their own affairs best. If the youths chose it for themselves, I should have wondered less, but they do not choose it. They have it thrust upon them, and for the most part are disinclined towards it. I can only say that all I heard in defense of the system was insufficient to make me think very highly of its advantages. The arguments in favor of the deliberate development of the unreasoning faculties were much more cogent. But here they depart from the principles on which they justify their study of hypothetics, for they base the importance which they assign to hypothetics upon the fact of their being a preparation for the extraordinary, while their study of unreason rests upon its developing those faculties which are required for the daily conduct of affairs. Hence their professorships of inconsistency and evasion, in both of which studies the youths are examined before being allowed to proceed to their degree in hypothetics. The more earnest and conscientious students attain to a proficiency in these subjects which is quite surprising. There is hardly any inconsistency so glaring but they soon learn to defend it, or injunction so clear that they cannot find some pretext for disregarding it. Life, they urge, would be intolerable if men were to be guided in all they did by reason, and reason only. Reason betrays men into the drawing of hard and fast lines, and to the defining by language, language being like the sun, which rears and then scorches. Extremes are alone logical, but they are always absurd. The mean is illogical, but an illogical mean is better than the sheer absurdity of an extreme. There are no follies and no unreasonablenesses so great as those which can apparently be irrefragably defended by reason itself, and there is hardly an error into which men may not easily be led if they base their conduct upon reason only. Reason might very possibly abolish the double currency. It might even attack the personality of hope and justice. Besides, people have such a strong natural bias towards it that they will seek it for themselves and act upon it quite as much as or more than is good for them. There is no need of encouraging reason. With unreason the case is different. She is the natural complement of reason, without whose existence reason itself were non-existent. If, then, reason would be non-existent were there no such thing as unreason, surely it follows that the more unreason there is, the more reason there must be also. Hence the necessity for the development of unreason, even in the interests of reason herself. The professors of unreason deny that they undervalue reason. None can be more convinced than they are that if the double currency cannot be rigorously deduced as a necessary consequence of human reason, the double currency should cease forthwith. But they say that it must be deduced from no narrow and exclusive view of reason which should deprive that admirable faculty of the one half of its own existence. Unreason is a part of reason. It must therefore be allowed its full share in stating the initial conditions. End of chapter 21.